What is it, my friend? Welcome to episode number 65 of the Anthony John English podcast. This is another Sunday sermon edition, and today I want to talk about what you resist persists. There's been a lot of stuff that's been popping up with me and working with clients this week. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
Welcome to the Anthony John English podcast, the one and only podcast designed to help you become unstoppable in life and business. My name is Anthony John Amix. My friends call me AJ, and my goal with this podcast is to help you remember who you truly are so you can maintain your center in the chaos, embody your potential, and unlock freedom in your life and business. That being said, let's get into today's show.
All right, welcome back. Before we get into today's episode, if you're looking to take your life and business to the next level, then head on over to talkwithaj.com and grab a time to talk with me. Every single week, I open up a few spots to talk with individuals to see where they're at, where they want to go, and explore creating a roadmap for them to break through to the next level. And by the end of that call, if they want some help pulling that off, then we'll talk about that. If they feel complete, then that is all good. So if you want to take your life and business to the next level, you want to grab a time to talk, go to talkwithaj.com. So here's the thing. I've been coaching people for a long time, and this week there's been some reoccurring patterns. People who have done the deep work, they've healed their childhood traumas, they've dove into that, they've dove into finding what I would say is their thing, their core root. After doing this for a long time, I've really kind of come to the realization that it seems like here during this lifetime, every single human being, every single soul seems like they have a lot of lessons to learn, but there's one definitely common thread lesson. So mine is definitely the feeling of not being good enough, and then learning how to internally source the feeling of I am good enough over and over and over again. And there's been different layers and different fractals as I just continue to go through life, as life continues to get better and better and better, as I'm able to make more and more money, as my lifestyle becomes more and more free. It seems like I'm learning that lesson from different angles. I went through that lesson of with my father, and then my wife, and then the marketplace, and it's just different perspectives of the same lesson, and each time it's bringing healing to myself, where it's just life is becoming better and better and better and better. And so there's been a couple of times this week where one client's thing was not enoughness, another one was not good enough. Sometimes it's not feeling safe, not seeing themselves. It usually comes back to this bullshit success equation stuff, right? And oftentimes when people have done this type of work, they're oh, I should be, especially high achievers, I've dealt with this should be done, I shouldn't be doing this again, bah, bah, bah. And here's the truth, that person's just being in the victim mode. Again, they're at a place where they're trying to justify why they shouldn't be experiencing what they are experiencing, or defending why they shouldn't be experiencing what they're experiencing. And the truth is, you're still triggered by the thing. And to try to push through and create results in resistance to that internal deep trigger is crazy. This is what just starts the internal pressure back up, the guilt, the shame, and people to start hemorrhaging core power. And what I always tell people is hey, look, I always tell clients, before we can do anything, before we can go anywhere, even myself, before I can create anything, do anything, I must always be aligning with the truth. Aligning with the truth of where I'm at. Sometimes that means, man, in this moment, I'm not feeling good enough. Okay, I can use that then as the trigger to remember who I am. Inside of Project Shift, which is our signature coaching program that is collapsing 10 to 20 years of personal transformation and professional development into 12 weeks. We're in this season of expansion, creating results. And the thing about expansion is sometimes you have to slow down to go fast, right? And there's a time and place to slow down, do some healing, right? Integrate that, learning how to internally source your own well-being, your own goodness. But then when you're clear on your desires, and that's where we're at in Project Shift right now, is getting people clear on their desires. Then at that point in time, it's focus forward on what you want and go get it. Like once you've cleaned up the past, we let the past be the past. And if we continue looking of like, well, oh, maybe it's this, maybe it's more, like you're going to continue to find it. What you focus on expands. So there comes a time in life where it's like, look, it's time to let the dead bury the dead. It's time to focus on your desires and go forth and create. And with some of these clients this week, they've gone through this work. They're super smart people. And they're like, oh, I thought I should be over this now. I thought I should be over this right now. I thought this was just going to be easier. And it's like, look, man, welcome to the game of life. There's going to be resistance. There's going to be resistance in this game of life. And if we're going to find peace, if we're going to find fulfillment, if we're going to find happiness, if we're going to find power to be able to go out and embody our purpose, which is creating our desires and increasing our profitability if we're inside this game of business, then rather than being like, oh, I just wish it would be easy, let me try to spiritual bypass. No, like lean into the resistance. Lean in to know that you're a powerful creator and go get what you desire. Because nobody's going to come down and knight you. Nobody's going to come down with some like fairy dust and rainbows and unicorns and be like, oh, you're worthy of your desire now. Go get it. No, go get it. And so why is this important? Why do I want to bring this back to like what you resist, persist? Because again, in this game of high achievers, 3 of them this week, they're resisting looking at the truth. They're resisting feeling and experience their not enoughness. They're resisting experiencing. They're like, oh, I don't feel worthy. And then they want to sit there and justify it with the work that they've done by being like, oh, I thought I've dealt with this. No, welcome to the game of being a human being. There's contrast. And that lesson is cyclical. It's going to repeat. I guarantee you it will repeat itself. And so part of the lesson here is like, look, you have to slow down and align with the truth. And the game really is about becoming aware of it and shifting out of it back into a place of power, using a lot of the methodologies that we teach within Project Shift. We teach like 10 different shift tools. And the game really is about shifting, like becoming aware, like, oh, I'm getting some feedback as I'm going forward towards my desires. I'm clear on what I want. I know I'm worthy of that, not because I have something to prove or defend, but just because I simply choose to experience that experience and I'm moving forward towards it. Oh, and I'm getting some feedback here. Interesting. Let me align with that truth. Let me remember who I am, which is a powerful creator, the soul in control, capable of experiencing anything that you want to experience, any desire that's not an egoic desire, but a desire from your heart, a desire from your soul. You're capable of creating that. And anytime we're getting some feedback, we align with the truth, we shift out of it by remembering who we are, and then moving forward in our desires. And yet so oftentimes people are like, no, I don't want to go there again. Oh, no. But it's about increasing our capacity. Like, I've been doing this game a long time. And the more that I continue to play this game, because I experience the same thing where I get some feedback, I'm like, oh, man, all right. Pause, reset, align with the truth, use shift moves, get back into a place of power, lean forward. Are there some days where I'm like, oh gosh, this is exhausting. I am so tired. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's part of being a human being. And then I also remember like, well, what is it that I'm committed to creating? What is it that I'm committed to creating? There has been times this week we've been working on this new program. I'm not done till 3 a.m. And the next day, I'm going to get back up at 6:30 or 7 and do it again. And am I tired? And when like my little alarm's going off, it's like it's vibrating. Do I want to get up? No, I don't. But you know what? I'm committed to what I want to create. Not because I have something to prove or defend, but just because it's like, look, I know where we're headed. I see the desire in which I want to experience, and that desire is done. It's only a matter of time for me to walk it out, and I'm committed to it. But anytime I'm going to get some like feedback of like, oh man, I'm feeling, for me, my deepest kind of core lesson here on this earth, not good enough. Then I get to feel and experience the not good enough. And that doesn't mean it takes me into some pit of depression or some pit of apathy. And I've been to the pit of depression. I've been to the pit of apathy. And by being with it, I've learned how to shift out of it quicker and quicker and quicker and quicker and quicker. And what used to take months takes weeks, and what used to take weeks takes days, and what used to take days takes seconds. And that's the name of the game. That's increasing our capacity to create and our like divine birthright. So I know I'm throwing a lot at you right now. And I think a lot of people in this personal development, personal transformation, business development industry, they're like, I see this feedback, and they have a belief that's like, I need to go fix it. Let me go read a book. Let me hire a coach. Let me find some hack. Let me find some workaround so I don't have to experience my shit, my not enoughness, my not worthy, my not safe. And as a result, everything that they're attempting to create is in resistance to not experiencing like one of their deepest fears. Now, lots of people don't have language around what I'm talking about right now because it's like buried into their subconscious. But I guarantee you it's there. Welcome to the game of being human. And if you don't lean into it and be with it, not to fix it, but just to understand it, then everything you do is built in resistance to. For instance, for a long time, this business game for me was built in resistance to the feelings. My deepest, darkest fear is and was, what if they find out I'm not good enough? What if I allow myself to believe I'm not good enough? Because if I allow myself to believe that, then the people I care about the most, they're not going to accept me. And if they don't accept me, then will I accept myself? And if I don't accept myself, then what is the point of being on this planet? Like, I know this is a little dark that I'm talking about, but this was real for me. And after coaching like hundreds of people, thousands of people, this is real for like people. This is real for like the game of being a human. Whether you want to call this shadow work or whatever you want to call it. Like, we can't truly live, we can't truly express our light until we're willing to like accept our death. Now, I'm not saying be like, oh yeah, go out and accept your death. That's not what I'm saying. Like, what I'm saying is like, until I'm cool with my death, knowing as a human being, the moment I'm born onto earth, I am dying. The moment I was born and took my first breath set me on a course to die. There's no way around it. It's going to happen. And for whatever reason, death has never bothered me as a human being. I can't tell you why. I've had conversations with friends of mine that were terrified of death and they've worked their way through it. But for me, this is just like, yeah, it's an inevitable part of life. It's going to happen. But the thing that was worse than death for me was like, what if nobody accepts me? What if I don't accept myself? What if nobody I care about accepts me? What if nobody on earth accepts me? That then sends me into a place of apathy. Because I'm like, well, what's the point? Like, for me, one of my highest values is relating with other human beings. And I love like deep connected relationships. Not with a lot of people, but with a handful of people. That's important. It's a high value of mine. And so if I don't lean into that shadow and learn how to self-source my own internal accepting of myself, regardless of what happens externally, then everything I do is in resistance to. And in accordance with the law of being, the law of being states that the world will give us exactly that which we are at our core. Our core consisting of the thoughts and feelings that we're holding on to predominantly. So in this case, my case, which is like, oh, I'm thinking and feeling at a subconscious level. What if they don't accept me? can I really accept myself? From that core fundamental place, the world kept giving me more opportunities to be rejected, to not be accepted. And this is why, like, I've learned, like, what you resist persists. Like, I've heard this for a long time in this personal development game, the spiritual community game, if we want to call it that. But I've never really understood it until probably the past 18 months to 2 years. What you resist will persist. This is in accordance with the law of being. So bringing this back to you, like, I don't know what your core thing is. Whether it's like, I got to do all of these things to be worthy, to be accepted, to feel secure, to feel safe. But I guarantee you it's something. Every single human being that I've ever experienced up to this point has something. And as they continue going on this journey of life, where like it's better and better and better, the things that they create are usually built in response to that thing. Of like proving to themselves and proving to the world that that thing isn't real. And the problem with that is it then robs them of the very thing in which they want to truly experience, which is freedom, which is purpose, which is peace. So I'm here to tell you, like, today, that it's not either or. It's not like, oh, you do this type of work so you have peace, or you don't do this work and you just go out and accomplish so you have profits. I'm giving you an invitation into a possibility to understand that you can do both. That you can go out and create your desires because you choose the desires simply because you choose the desires with nothing to prove or defend. And from that place, you can create sustainable profits. And also, you can do so from a place of peace. And as a result, this impacts your ability to lead your teams, the quality of clients that you're working with, your turnover rates, your like abilities to love working with the people that you work with, how deeply connected and intimate and vulnerable you are with your friends and the family that you choose to have within your life. This is what happens when you're no longer resisting the very thing that is one of your deepest fears. Like when you're able to choose to look that monster in the eye and just be with it, that monster is no longer doing you. You're doing the monster. You're able to be like, you're able to come back home to your divine right as a creator and stand in the pocket with the monster and look him in his eye and be like, what's up, man? How you doing, bro? I see you. I love you. And that monster who used to be a giant starts becoming smaller and smaller and smaller until it's usually transformed into like the little you, who now is just like, if you've ever had children, like a joy to be with, a joy to like remember and give them some grace and patience, some connection, some vulnerability. And in that place, you get to go co-create life with that part of you because you're no longer resisting it. For a long time, like I look at this conversation and I never could have this conversation because I was like, I just got to go do stuff, got to produce. The older I get and the more of this work I do and the more people that I continue to guide and I see the personal transformation, the business transformation in their lives and my own life, I start realizing like, man, this is the game. Like, this is really the work that a human gets to do if they're really going to step into their potential, if they're really going to fully embody their purpose, whatever that is for them. It's different things for different people. And it requires someone to slow down to go fast, which is very counterintuitive, especially when many high achievers are like, oh no, I gotta go, gotta produce. It's like, no, just slow down, align with the truth, experience what you're experiencing, use some shift tools to then shift back into a place of power and integrate. And the more that you will do that over and over and over again, you're going to become better at it and better at it and better at it until you're a master. Like one of my favorite illustrations is, this is kind of like jujitsu or ninjutsu or any type of martial art form. Like when I first started boxing, I was training with Guy Mesger, former UFC world champion of the world. And when I first started training with Guy in his group classes and his gym, man, it was awkward. Like throwing a punch, like mechanically correct, like throwing a jab and, keeping your feet shoulder width apart and moving that front foot up when you're throwing your jab and turning that little ball of your foot and coming back, and then matching that up with the punch that you're throwing and then throwing the cross and then moving your hips and turning on the ball of the foot. And then you throw in uppercuts and hook, like in all these mechanics. It was really awkward. And I remember I was trying to go too fast for like the first 2 or 3 weeks. And Guy was like, dude, slow down. Like, if you just get these mechanics right, like, get that mastered, the mechanics, slow your punches down, like, go real slow to pay attention to your body, pay attention to the mechanics, pay attention to the way things are moving and the way you're throwing these punches. And then over time, once you've mastered these simple mechanics, then you can start increasing the volume and the speed and all that. So I took his advice and started doing that. And lo and behold, he was right. Like 2 weeks of just focusing on my mechanics, focusing on my footwork as I was throwing my punches a lot slower, like at half speed. I was like, oh, I see it, and I got it. From that place, I could start moving, and it's just like how it is. And there's still way more in that game, because I'm not a master at that game at all. Way more in that game to like learn to master. But the way to mastery is really like you have to slow down sometimes. You have to slow down. And it's really hard to slow down when your worthiness, your identity is like, no, we got to go, 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 go. And I'm here to tell you, like, you're back into resisting. And what, as a result, that's going to persist. So stop, slow down. Slow down so you can actually go fast. You can actually produce results faster. So here's my invitation to you today. Where in your life are you resisting something? Like, are you resisting something in your marriage? Are you resisting something in your relationship with your children? Are you resisting something inside the game of business, whether this is marketing or whether this is sales or whether this is leading your team or building out systems or like thinking like a CEO and actually leading your game? So here's my invitation for you today. Where in your life, where in your business are you resisting something? Like, are you resisting something within the game of sales or marketing or systems, operations, hiring, firing? Are you resisting having hard conversations? Are you resisting things inside your marriage, things that you're not willing to face, conversations you're not willing to have? Are you resisting some relationships that need to be cleaned up? Like, you're like, oh, it's just so easier just to let them be what they'll be. What was, rather than leaning in and having some hard conversations to give yourself freedom. It's not about them. It never is about them. It's about you and your experience and making sure that you're whole, you're in integrity, you're complete, you're at home within your own body. And from that place, you can go out and produce some big ass results. So that's my invitation for you today, is just to like slow down. Slow down. Take the time to like identify what is the thing within you that you're resisting so it no longer persists. And once you can identify that, and if you can't identify it, but you can feel it, like there's something within you, like, man, I'm feeling some stress, I'm feeling some internal pressure, like where is this coming from? Like, why is this cyclical loop continue happening over and over and over again? Maybe it's time for you to reach out to someone to guide you into the areas of yourself that you don't even know exist, because that's typically where the thing that you're resisting is found. And I'll tell you, your ego does a very, very, very good job of convincing you that you don't need to do that, that it's not to your advantage, and as a result, it's just because your ego is attempting to survive. your current way of being is just holding on to like dear life. But if you'll lean into that edge and stare that ego into that monster, that ego in the eye, it starts shrinking its hold on you, and you lean into and start creating a whole new level of goodness in this life. I've experienced this time and time again. So my friend, thank you so much for being here. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. Hope it inspired you in some way. And I would love to hear like if and how this has like inspired you. Like, what is your biggest takeaway from this episode? Simply take a screenshot of you listening on your device, post it over to your Instagram stories, and then tag me at AJ Amix. So thank you so much for being here. Until next time, my friend, I'm out. Peace.
Well, that's all I've got for this episode of the Anthony John Amix podcast, but we have plenty more to help you become unstoppable in life and business. So head on over to ajamix.com for exclusive resources, information, and tools to help you break through to a new level of freedom, purpose, and success. I look forward to having you back for the next episode. Bye for now.